All right, let's get right into it. We're about to pull back the curtain on the bottled water you probably buy all the time. And honestly, what we've found based on some pretty serious research is that what you think you're drinking, well, it might just be a total illusion. I mean, you've probably thought it yourself, right? Water is just water. You're at the servo, you're at the supermarket, you just grab a bottle. How different can they really be? Well, according to all the data we've dug into for this explainer, that idea is wrong. Dead wrong. What we're actually looking at is a massive industry in Australia. We're talking over $600 million a year. And as the research shows, a huge chunk of that is built on some really clever marketing, a lot of greenwashing, and let's just say it, outright deception. So here's the deal. In this explainer, we're going to arm you with the facts. We are going to count down and name the 9 specific brands that independent reports and investigations say you should probably steer clear of, and of course, we'll tell you exactly why. Let's kick off the countdown. We're starting with a category I like to call the Tap Water Imposters. Yep, you guessed it. These are the brands charging you a massive premium for something you can get practically for free. Kicking us off at number 9 is Pump. You see it everywhere, right? Especially at the gym. It's marketed as this performance hydration drink. But what you're really paying, like $4.50 for, is just purified municipal water. Those minerals for taste, just basic salts you could literally make at home for a few cents. It's a brilliant way to sell you expensive tap water. And at number 8, we've got Frontel. Now, this is another brand owned by Coca-Cola. And just like Pump, you flip it over, read the label, and there it is, purified water. So you're basically paying a giant global corporation to filter the public tap water you already own and then sell it back to you in a plastic bottle. But listen, it's not just about the money. There's a hidden cost here. One study found that Frontel bottles had an average of 325 microplastic particles in every single liter. So while you're paying a premium for filtered water, you could be getting a nice dose of plastic you definitely didn't bargain for. Now, this one shows you just how powerful marketing can be. Coolbridge coming in at number 7. The bottle is covered in pictures of mountains and beautiful, pristine nature. The reality? Its source is Sydney's public water supply. And worse, some testing suggests that chemicals from the plastic, called phthalates, can actually leach into the water. These things are known endocrine disruptors, which is just a fancy way of saying they can seriously mess with your hormones. Sliding in at number 6 is the budget option, Aquapora. And I think this quote from a consumer really says it all. Because the filtering is so minimal, it often doesn't get rid of all the treatment chemicals. So you're left with this flat, kind of chemical taste that, can sometimes be even worse than the public tap it came from. And here's a really serious warning about this one. Those plastic bottles are super thin, really flimsy, and if you leave one in a hot car, testing shows it can leach elevated levels of a toxic metal called antimony into your water. Suddenly, that cheap bottle of water doesn't seem so cheap anymore, does it? Okay, we are now cracking the top 5. And believe me, the issues here get a whole lot more serious than just being overpriced top water. These are what the research calls the real villains of the water aisle. At number 5, Mount Franklin Sparkling. The problem here is that artificial carbonation process. It creates this really harsh, acidic fizz. Its pH is about 4.5. And just to give you some context, that is acidic enough that dentists have warned it can actually wear away your tooth enamel over time. So, not exactly the healthy choice it seems to be. Now, at number 4 is Nestle Pure Life. And just look at this number. It is absolutely staggering. Testing on some of these bottles found over 10,000 plastic particles per liter. That is one of the highest contamination rates found in the entire industry. It's just wild. But it's not just about the quality. The ethics behind the brand are questionable, to say the least. A top Nestle executive famously said that the idea of water being a fundamental human right is an extreme viewpoint. This is a company with a long documented history of pulling water out of drought-stricken areas, profiting from a resource that the local communities are desperate for. And let's just talk about the cost for a second. This chart lays out the absurdity perfectly. Brands like Evian at number 3 and Fiji at number 2 can set you back over $6 or even $7 a liter. Now, compare that to your tap water, which costs less than a single cent. You are paying an insane markup for branding and for the enormous carbon footprint of shipping water halfway around the world. And at number 2, we have Fiji water, which some sources have called liquid colonialism. The company extracts millions of liters of water from Fiji, while a huge part of the local population doesn't even have reliable access to clean drinking water. And you know those iconic square bottles? Well, they use 20% more plastic than a normal round bottle, purely for looks. And here we are, we've made it to the top of the list. The single worst bottled water you can possibly buy in Australia, according to all this research.
The number one worst water to buy is Dasani. Surprise, surprise, it's another Coca-Cola product. It's basically tap water that's been stripped of everything, and then they add a synthetic mineral mix back in. The result? A taste that tons of people describe as just distinctly chemical and really unpleasant.
And this timeline is it's damning. Back in 2004, Dasani got pulled from the entire UK market because it was found to contain illegal levels of bromate, a potential carcinogen. Fast forward to today, tests show it can have some of the highest levels of that toxic metal, antimony, leached from its bottles. And how do they market this to you? As enhanced water. Okay, so after all that doom and gloom, you're probably wondering, what's the answer? What should I be drinking? Well, the good news is, it's incredibly simple. Let's look at the best way forward. This table really just lays it all out. When you put good old filtered tap water up against even the best bottled waters out there, it's not even a contest. It is so much cheaper, its environmental footprint is tiny, and you get excellent purity without worrying about microplastics or leached chemicals. It wins, hands down. So the big takeaway here is really simple. Step 1. Get yourself a quality water filter for your tap at home. Step 2, grab a good reusable bottle. Stainless steel or glass is probably your best bet. And step 3, sit back and watch as you save a ton of money, protect your health, and do a solid for the planet. It's really that simple. So, there you have it. We've peeled back the label, we've exposed the industry's secrets, the clever marketing, the hidden contamination, the ridiculous cost. The only question left is, now that you know the truth, what are you going to choose to drink?